Hey guys, Jordan with the Young Turks, TYT Politics. Hope you're having a good day. Less than an hour till the Young Turks live. I've been doing a lot of stuff and videos on President Trump today. You could go to TYT Politics on YouTube for that. That's youtube.com/TYT Politics. But as angry as I am about all the crazy, crazy things Trump is doing, we got to call out the Democrats too, because it seems to me that we do not have a party that we could believe in to fight against President Trump as he steamrolls the country, the legal system, and probably the Constitution. This is a few days late, this story. I've been a little sick, so better late than never. But I thought it was important to go through the DNC chairs. That would be the candidates for DNC chair. There is, I believe, 7 of them in total. Apparently, the DNC chairs, their lesson from Hillary Clinton's epic defeat in the presidential election is when there's a monumental, historic women's march in D.C., in New York, in Chicago, in Los Angeles, all over the country, really. When you have monumental movements against President Trump or, Republicans or anything against the progressive movement and progressive values, instead of attending those marches, instead we're going to attend a high-dollar mega-donor retreat in Florida. That's what 6 out of the 7 candidates for DNC chair chose to do this past weekend during the Women's March on Saturday. So let me just read you quickly some of the story. The Women's March last week proved an uplifting respite for many Democrats left dejected by President Donald Trump's upset win and inauguration, drawing millions to marches across the country. But with one exception, the people left to put back together the pieces of the party were nowhere to be found. The Washington Free Beacon first reported Saturday that only one candidate for chair of the DNC, South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg, attended a march. The rest, they were at a retreat in Florida dedicated to the future of the party, hosted by Democratic activist David Brock, for top donors and party members. To some critics, it was more evidence of how the party's leadership has shunned its grassroots in favor of its donors. And if you don't know, David Brock was a henchman for Hillary Clinton, used to be a conservative, now is, one of the biggest hacks of the Democratic Party. He ran the Correct the Record super PAC. He's the one that unleashed all those paid trolls for Hillary Clinton on Bernie Sanders supporters, as well as journalists like me. So David Brock is basically running. David Brock is like becoming the Charles Koch of the Democratic Party, the Koch brothers of the Democratic Party. So the Democrats, instead of marching with the women, and this includes Keith Ellison, who I by and large support for DNC chair, he was down at this high-dollar donor retreat in Florida instead of marching with the women. Now, some of the chair candidates after the donor retreat went to march or went to marches in the local communities. But if you want to run the DNC, you're telling me that your choice is to go down to a mega donor retreat in Florida instead of marching with, by my count, it was between 700 and 800,000 women and men in Washington, D.C. That's what you choose to do? And these are the people that we're supposed to depend on to fight President Trump? And I listen, I know some of you criticize me. All you do is rail against the Democrats. I've been doing a lot on President Trump. Again, go to youtube.com/TYT Politics. However, if this is the lesson they learned, that instead of grassroots activism, instead of actually attending and being present at historic marches against quasi-fascism, no, we need to go to our sugar daddies and mommies down in Florida, then we're in trouble, folks. We are in trouble. And yes, they are going down to these retreats because the people that will vote for the DNC chair are, many of them, high-dollar donors. So they are essentially kissing the ring of the people who ultimately will vote as DNC members and the people that donate to the party. So I get it, there's some politics attached, but if you haven't learned that just raising money and just kissing the ring of mega donors is not going to win you elections, then we're in trouble. And you might see 8 years of President Trump. It doesn't matter how many mega donor retreats that you have. It doesn't matter how many rings you kiss. It matters that you are present and active for the right policies, for the right movements. Most of these corporate Democrats were nowhere to be found during Occupy Wall Street. Most of these corporate Democrats were not for Bernie Sanders. There's only one senator who endorsed Bernie Sanders, Jeff Merkley, and a handful of congressmen who endorsed them. But it's not good. Listen, the high dollar donor retreat, benefit of the doubt, maybe it was scheduled before the Women's March. From what I'm reading, the high dollar donor retreat was scheduled after the Women's March was announced. But you reschedule it. You don't go to it. You go to Washington, D.C. to march with hundreds of thousands of women. Not just for a photo op, because if this is the movement you want to be the chair of, well, being behind closed doors with mega donors is not the way to go about it. And this is why, among many reasons, why Hillary Clinton lost. Because she was out of touch. And if these are the chair, if one of these people are going to be the chair of the DNC, you got Tom Perez, former labor secretary as candidate, Keith Ellison, Minnesota congressman, some lesser known names. They need to move away from this bowing at the altar of mega donors constantly, because that's not going to cut it. That's not the message that needs to go out. You need to stop having fundraisers with mega donors and start having town halls with millennials and blue collar workers in Michigan and Wisconsin and Pennsylvania and in Ohio. Get rid of the chomping at the bit to raise more money. It doesn't matter how much money you raise, and it doesn't matter how much you organize if your policies are wrong and your message isn't there. You cannot be the party of the working people and just fight against Trump. It's like what they did during the campaign. All they did was say Trump's bad, Trump's awful, Trump's a fascist, and Trump won. You're not going to win by just being Trump's terrible. He's doing terrible things as president. He's a fascist. You're not going to get voters that way. You need to put forth policies and you need to back it up with your actions, meaning your actions cannot be you choosing to go to a mega donor retreat that David Brock is throwing rather than marching with hundreds of thousands of women in Washington, D.C. Actions speak louder than words. And the DNC chair candidate, I think the vote is coming in second week of February, I believe. So we'll stay on that as always. And you could watch videos. Nomi Konst, one of our reporters, was actually at the DNC forum in Phoenix last week. So you could watch her videos from there. And as always, we're doing videos on Trump, on the Democrats, on just about everybody. YouTube.com/TYT Politics. Thanks for watching.